Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Way of the Four Elements build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. So this monk subclass is really fun because you get access to some actions that are similar to spells, but we can cast them in for silence. Fangs of the Fire Snake being one of the best ones, and it counts as an attack, so we can use that twice in our turn. So for this, we are going to start off as a monk, and our ability scores, we're going to be primarily dexterity focused. Now, if you got the Hag's Hair, you can use that on your dexterity to leave it at 17, take it up to 18. However, if you're not, we can just put it to 16 as we only get increases on even numbers there. And we want to have a high wisdom stat as well. So we can take points out of our other stats, get our wisdom up to around 16 there, and 14 constitutions could be our overall health. So something like this with the extra points, I guess, in charisma there will work well. Dexterity being a huge stat of ours. And wisdom is important for the Way of the Four Elements monk because that's going to be our spell casting modifier, or I guess the Four Elements modifier, as it's not really a spell. But that's what we're going to go with for our ability scores. And yeah, we can also dump our strength too if you want to use strength potions, but I'll be going over this build as if we're not going that route. So yeah, I'll be covering the gear at the end of this video. First things first, level 2, we get ourselves another key point on our movement increased by 3 meters, and we get our bonus action, patient defense, step of the wind dash, and disengage. So those will use key points, so be mindful of their usage. At level 3, we get to choose our subclass, the Way of the Four Elements. I'm a huge open hand fan, but Way of the Four Elements is really fun too. And we also get the Harmony of Fire and Water, which will regain half of our key points rounded down. Now, for the Disciple of the Elements, there's a few that stand out. Fangs of the Fire Snake being the best, so it deals normal damage plus 1d10 fire damage, and you can hit people from afar, and your next melee attack deals an additional 1 to 4 fire damage. So that is huge. It counts as an action, so we can do 2 of those in a turn if we'd like. I'm also a fan of Fist of the Unbroken Air. 3d10 bludgeoning and push the creature back and knock it prone is really nice. I'm also a big fan of Thunderwave, Fist of the Fourth Thunder, because knocking someone off a cliff is just one of the most satisfying feelings in this game. Some of the others, like this is basically like Burning Hands, Shocking Grasp, Chromatic Orb. Some people like using Chromatic Orb because it gives you a multitude of damage types. But I do think that it's actually best to go with the Fist of the Four Thunders, because Thunder Pushback is really nice. Water Whip is good too, 3d10 bludgeoning, possibly knock your target prone or pull it towards you, but this will push them off the edge, this will push them. So these 3 work well, but you can take Water Whip instead of Fist of the Unbroken Air if you'd like. They're both bludgeoning damage, so you can go with one of these that you prefer. So that's what we'll be going with there. We also get Deflect Missiles, so reduce a ranged weapon attack by 1d10 plus Dexterity modifier plus Monk level. And you can use a key point to deflect the missile entirely. It's a pretty fun class overall. So at level 4, we get ourselves a slow fall, resistance to fall damage, woohoo. And for our feat, some people really like Tavern Brawler, and I won't deny that's a good choice. You could have put the Constitution to 15 if that's the case, and this can increase it to 16 with Tavern Brawler there. I'm going to go with an ability score improvement and take our dexterity up higher because I think this just works best. We also want to have a high wisdom, so increasing both of these stats is going to be important. Now I'm using armor that's going to increase our dexterity too, so I'll show you that at the end. At level 5 here we get our extra attack, allowing us to do Fangs of the Fire Snake twice in a row. And we also get Stunning Strikes, which are really nice. So you can do a Fang of the Fire Snake and follow it up with a Stunning Strike. That's probably the best choice. Stunning Strike can possibly stun the target, making them pretty much useless. And there's an unarmed version of it as well. We're primarily going to be using the unarmed version because that's the best way to get damage in this class. You can also replace spells if you like to as you level. But at level 6, we get our key Empowered Strike, so our attacks count as magical for the purposes of overcoming resistance to physical damages and immunities. So we also get additional 4.5 movement speed if we're not using armor or shields, and we're not going to for the purpose of this build. Now we get some other choices once we get to level 6. We also got the Embrace of the Inferno. This is like Scorch and Ray. Honestly, not a bad damage option. I also like Clench of the North Winter. So this, or North Wind, this is basically Hold Person, and critical hits are, you basically make them useless, they can't move, and you do critical hits within 3 meters, which is really nice. You could also go back and take Water Whip, but I think it's best to take one of these two. My preference being Hold Person, but some people really like Embrace of the Inferno, so go with one of those that you prefer. We do a lot of fire damage with this build. At level 7, we get Evasion, which is nice. So when a spell would deal half damage on a successful dexterity saving throw, it deals no damage if you succeed, and only half if you fail. Stillness of Mind, so if you get Charmed or Frightened, you cast Stillness of Mind to remove the condition. So that's good just to get out of that. And at level 8, we get ourselves another feat, and we get to choose, I would say the best thing would be to increase our wisdom. The reason I'm saying that is because we can get boots that add our wisdom modifier to our attacks, but also wisdom is the main casting stat for our spells, so we want that to be high. So increasing that's important. At monk level 9, we get the advance on our movement, so difficult terrain doesn't slow you down, and we can jump an additional 6 meters, which is nice. We also get the improved elemental casting. So several of your 4 elements deal an additional die of damage. Cleanse of the North Wind can hold an additional creature, and your Embrace of the Inferno fires an extra ray. Pretty good. So we can take the Embrace of the Inferno here, giving ourselves another damage option. It does use 3 key points, but it gets an additional damage ray, so they can make it a little bit better. Still not as good as, I would say probably like a Water Whip is a solid choice too, but we're going to go with that there, just to give ourselves another ranged option. Now, level 10, we get ourselves the Purity of Body. You're immune to poison damage, can't be poisoned, or affected by any diseases. Improved movement speed to 6 meters, and additional key point. And we can also swap out any of the spells if you're finding that you don't like them that much. And then at level 11, we get to choose another one. And we get Ride the Wind, which allows us to fly until long rest. Mist Dance. I would not choose this one. Not very useful. 4 key points for something that you can get from another class. And Flames of the Fire, Flames of the Phoenix. I think that this is probably one of the better ones. Even though it's level 11 that we get, this is kind of late. It's still nice to be able to drop a fireball if you see a group of enemies grouped together. So we're going to go with that there. This build does lean towards fire damage, but it just seems to be the best. Now we can add in a subclass of like the Fighter if you'd like for the fighting style. We can add in a Cleric to get ourselves Create Water, because getting Create Water is nice because that'll allow us to cast our lightning spells and we could change up the build a little bit. But even a level of Barbarian's good, because if you want to use a shield for whatever reason, you can use a shield and get your Constitution modifier as your armor class, so that can actually be higher than what we got. I'm going to stick with 12 levels of this because I think that getting our extra key points is so important for this build that we want to get as many of them as possible. This is where we can add in Tavern Brawler if you really want to experiment with it in Act 3, because there's so many strength potions in the late acts. You can also go with the ability improvement and take our wisdom or dexterity up higher. I would lean towards probably dexterity, but I'm going to go with the Tavern Brawler just to show what's capable with this. Ideally, we would hit Constitution at 15, but I'm using the Constitution Amulet, so it doesn't really matter too much. Now, I'll be going over the gear now for this build. So we got a 21 armor class. This comes with the Graceful Cloth, so it gives us a +1 bonus dexterity saving throws, increases jump distance, and increase our dexterity by 2. So with this, we have 20 dexterity. I'm also using a strength potion to show off what's possible with Tavern Brawler. I would recommend, once you get it, the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. Whenever a wearer succeeds a saving throw against a spell, you get 1 to 4 health, and you can make a reaction unarmed strike and +2 to armor class. So that gives us a 22 armor class. Mask of Soul Perception give +2 to attack rolls, initiative rolls, and perception checks. Cloak Protection and the Ring of Protection give us a +2 to armor class. The Gloves of Soul Catching, very important item here. However, if you don't have these, go with whatever elemental gloves you got, or even a nice option is the Bracers of Defense, because this will just give our armor class up to 24. So if you have different types of these, like the Gloves of Inhibition Kashigo, deal an additional 1 to 4 damage with throw attacks and improvised weapons. Not the best, but even some like this adds radiant damage to our attacks, this adds cold damage to our attacks, so there's a few different synergies. You can use this with the Snowburst Ring, and you can make ice surfaces as you would punch people, which is nice. But obviously, Gloves of Soul Catching being the absolute best, adds a 1d10 of force damage, and you can regain 10 health points on attack, or get advantage on attack rolls, and it gives a +2 to Constitution. So we don't even need the Constitution Amulet on this character, even though it's nice to have the 23 Constitution. You can swap that out for something else. There's also the Sentient Amulet here, which has Key Restoration on it, so that is another choice that we got there, because we can get ourselves key points equal to the martial arts die. Nice. We have 13 key points with this. Boots of Uninhibited Kashigo adds our wisdom modifier to our unarmed strikes. And then I have the Killer Sweetheart for criticals, Ring of Protection. We can also go with the Gaunter Mail there, which allows us to give ourselves haste, which is pretty nice. We're not proficient with martial weapons, but you can still use the haste from it, so that is another option there. And Celestial Haste doesn't give you that the cooldown, so that is a kind of a nice added bonus to it. So typically the way we would want to approach combat is the Fangs of the Fire Snake here, which is pretty good option for damage, so you can do it from a range, and it can also critical hit. So He does have armor that resists fire damage, so that's only going to do whoa, it did a lot more than I thought it was going to. He's got armor that resists fire damage, and we completely tanked his health there, so that just goes to show how much damage you can do with the Flames of the Fire Snake. It says upwards of 48 damage. Pretty good choice there, so we can blast away with that. That did a good amount of damage. Then we can follow it up with an unarmed punch there. That's the nice thing about doing some of these attacks, is allows you to follow it up with another attack. And then you can even do like a flurry of blows. That does upwards of 76 damage with our Tavern Brawler. So huge damage, as you can see. And then you got that unarmed strike there, which is a bonus action. So use that whenever possible to save your key points, because it's a very valuable resource. So I guess I'll show it off what it looks like there. And then doing the punch, it'll add an additional fire die. So 7 fire damage there, which is really nice. Then we also got things like Fireball. Obviously, don't need much introduction to Fireball. It's Fireball. It works great. Hits in a huge area and deals a ton of damage. So you can go that route if you want to hit someone in a huge area. We also got our Stunning Strike, which is really nice because we can basically make someone makes them potentially stunned, which makes them useless, basically. So whenever they're stunned there, they can't take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. So super nice. If you could land a Flame of the Fire Snake, typically this is the way to do it. So Flame of the Fire Snake, and then follow it up with your unarmed strike there, and that'll give you additional fire damage from the Flame of the Fire Snake. So 2 actions, really great. We also got our key restoration from the amulet. So let's see there, it didn't trigger. Yeah, it's not working. Oh, we only got 1 key point. That sucks. And then we got the Harmony of Water and Fire to regain our key points up to 8 there. So yeah, you want to be long resting quite a bit with this build, because it does use a lot of key points compared to the open hand monk. But I guess a general way of going about this, I'll show you what it looks like if we do unarmed strikes here. So I guess we'll start off with just the Flame of the Fire Snake. He may run away, but I guess we can fight him there. Perfect. So I'll just skip his turn, skip Halsin's turn. Halsin looking pretty rough. Or Halsin's trying to fight us. He tried to confuse us, and he turned into a cave bear. I'm going to show you what is possible once we get to my turn here, and we already used up our action, but we still get another action, because these count as an extra attack, which makes it really great. He did the save against the attack there, but we still have our bonus action. We can do Flurry of Blows for upwards of 76 damage, or just a normal unarmed strike. And they also have the Soul Snare from our gloves there. But the Flurry of Blows is so powerful, like, yeah, we took him out. He had 60 or 70 health left, and we were able to take him out with that. So, just goes to show how powerful this can be. He has 3 Duke Ravenguard swords. That's weird. This will give you a +2 to Charisma, so it's a nice sword to have. But there it is. That is a very powerful Way of the 4 Elements monk build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is one of the funnest classes that may not be a peak pick, but you get a lot of options. You can push people off cliffs. You can do Flurry of Blows. Being a monk is a whole lot of fun, so I highly recommend giving it a shot if you've never played this class before. But there it is, Way of the 4 Elements monk build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.